you please come out of the bathroom? Eric, this is simply not the behaviour of a mature professional person.
Sorry, Mother.
What have you got behind your back?
Nothing.
This vase again. Why do you always have this vase? What's it for?
Nothing.
Then why do you always sneak it under my bedside table at night? Why do you always wave it behind my back when I've scolded you? What do you keep in here?
Nothing.
Well, you're sulking about the Monopoly game with Graham and Susan, aren't you? Because you lost, didn't you?
No.
They both won lots of money and you won no money at all. And that means you lost, doesn't it?
No.
Why not?
Because it's my board.
The 3 Ds, Eric. That's what it takes to be a winner. Discipline, determination, and diligence. Don't I always tell you that during our morning spank? Well, I think it's time Eric went and sat in Eric's naughty cupboard. Don't you, Eric? Well, on you go. Mr. Loser Pants. Don't do that, Eric. One day you're going to have to do without me, Eric. Where will you be then?
No French teachers.
No French teachers.
Mr. Slett?
No more Mr. Loser Pants.
Eric!
Yes, come in, yes.
Oh, good heavens, the lower half. After 15 years of marriage, I'd rather assumed you stopped at the waist, like a newsreader.
Whereas I've always been quite riveted by your legs, dear. Why'd you bother with hosiery when you could just comb them?
You guys want to be alone for this?
You wanted to see Miss Travis about the match, didn't you?
Miss Travis, please sit down. Janet, please go away.
Just a little tip, dear. You're going to look ridiculous without some socks.
I'm wearing socks.
I didn't mean there, dear.
Right. You take David Jefford for English, don't you? Tell me everything about him.
Nice kid, good in class. Why?
What do you mean, why? He's captaining the pupils' team.
I know, but...
Look, I appreciate you're new here, but Galfast High's most important and honoured tradition is the staff pupil friendly. It's very important to school morale that we grind those bastards into tiny piles of dust and dance on their graves.
You don't think you're taking this a little bit seriously?
This is our annual opportunity to demonstrate the virtues of strategy, fair play, and sportsmanship. Mr. Humboldt, have you told them it's 5-a-side?
No, that wouldn't work twice.
So what about David Jefford?
Ah, yes. I've had his homework doubled for the last 2 weeks, criticised him publicly at morning assembly, and started a couple of rumours with some amusing toilet graffiti. But he still seems happy here.
Well, he's got every reason. He's good-looking, intelligent, popular, athletic.
There must be some way we can undermine him. Janet! Fetch David Jefford from his classroom.
Can't you just behave like an adult and leave him alone?
Everyone has some hidden weakness. Some traitorous flaw just waiting to destroy them. Some treacherous fallibility lurking in their psyche, like a French teacher.
For God's sake. I'm sorry. Like a what?
Like a French teacher, a teacher of French.
Lurking in their psyche like a French teacher.
Yes? Yes? Is there a problem?
I know I'm going to regret asking, but could you expand on the French teacher comparison?
Oh, God, Miss Travis. Miss Travis! French teachers have been living among us like ordinary citizens for decades now. Unquestioned, unsuspected. Countless thousands have been spent on them in that time. Books, equipment, personnel. Every school is compelled to have them on the staff, and virtually all of us have been exposed to their influence while still impressionable young children.
Yes, I suppose.
Yeah, well, what have they been doing? Doesn't it bother you that none of us can speak French? They've got kids up there right now in the language lab, in booths, with earphones on. But none of them can remember a single thing that ever happens in there.
Let me get this straight. You are paranoid about the true purpose of French teachers.
Well, apart from anything else, Miss Travis, they can all speak French. And they certainly didn't learn that here. Oh, don't let me be Mr. Loserpants.
What?
Sorry. Momentary lapse won't happen again. Oh, for heaven's sake, where is that Jefford boy? Janet!
His mother. You are a sick man, Eric Slack.
Oh, there you are! At last! My office. Wait there. I need a word with you, young man. You sure there's nothing we can get him on?
Oh, for God's sake!
Right. It'll have to be the old standby. Your mother just phoned. She's had a look under your bed. Step inside, please. Don't sit down. Magazines, David. Self-abuse stimulant magazines. You do know what self-abuse is, don't you, David? Of course. A certain amount of that sort of thing is perfectly normal. 2, perhaps 3 times in your lifetime. Have you indulged more often than that already, David? Have you used up your goes? No. That's not what your parents tell me. You disappear upstairs and there's a certain amount of noise, a certain amount of shaking. Imagine their shock when they discovered they weren't on the flight path. Then, of course, there's the street lamp. You are aware that the cabling for the street lighting runs through the wall of your house? That the junction box is just by your bedroom? The street lamp outside your house has been flashing on and off in time with you like a beacon of self-abuse. David's doing it faster and faster. Twice now, the bulb has blown. Your friends come for miles just to watch it. Your parents can't show their faces in public. Such is the depth of their humiliation. I understand your aunt died recently, David. Of shame. Anyway, I just thought I'd better mention it. Good luck in the match this afternoon. No, perhaps not. Thanks for coming. Oh.
That was the sickest thing I've ever seen.
I don't think you'll be much trouble now, do you?
I mean, that's street lamp stuff. Do you actually think that kind of thing happens in the real world?
Get that, will you?
Hello, Eric Slat's phone.
I want to speak to Eric Slat.
I'm afraid he's just popped out. He shouldn't be long.
Well, tell him I've decided to come to the school after all. I shall be there quite shortly.
And who is this?
His mother.
His mother?
That's right, yes.
And where exactly are you speaking from, Mrs. Slat?
I'm on the car phone. Does it matter?
Right, yeah.
You tell him I expect to be met. If I'm not, I'll tell everyone the story about the street lamp.
Street lamp.
You'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think he will. Mrs. Slat, do you mind if I ask you something?
No? No what?
How are you?
Fine.
Great. See you later then.
Who was it?
One guess.
Oh, I see.
So, she's not dead then.
Dead? No, she's not dead. Mothers don't just die, you know.
1932 to 1996. This year.
Well, I'd just like to keep a running total.
And what's this?
So put it back at once.
You've got an urn ready for your mother.
It's just, you know, for an emergency. Put it back, please.
And something else I can't help noticing.
Would you please put it back at once, if you will?
Who does she look like?
Yes, I know. Napoleon. Well, I suppose you need to see her in a full costume.
She's Janet.
I'm sorry?
Look at her, she's Janet. She's the spitting image of your wife.
Oh, don't be absurd.
I mean, they are practically twins. Doesn't that worry you at all?
Miss Travis, are you suggesting there is something unhealthy about my relationship with my wife?
Unhealthy? You've married your mother. That's not a relationship. It's an attempt at re-entry.
I really don't have time to spend listening to your socialist nonsense. Excuse me.
What does Janet think?
About what?
About this!
Well, they haven't met, have they? Why should they meet? They'd only start talking about things.
You've never seen them both in the same room at the same time. I'd be very afraid.
This conversation is over.
Oh, of course. They're going to meet today, aren't they?
Certainly not. My mother has her orders, and so does my wife. It's worked perfectly well until now.
No, listen.
And Miss Travis, I truly feel pity for you. You seem capable of reading some form of sexual deviance into the most innocent circumstance. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm wearing my lucky shorts and I've got 11 kids to thrash.
Mr. Slack.
Mr. Slatt, I see you're ready for the big match today.
Yes, indeed, yes.
Well, as long as the kids understand, it's not the winning, it's the taking part.
I told them myself, Headmaster. I think they swallowed it.
Good, splendid.
Right, little word, everyone.
Now, Mr. Slatt, I must protest about all these knees.
No, you mustn't. Go away. Today, as you all know, is the big match. Today, we demonstrate the superior strengths of maturity, dignity, and the wisdom that only age and a teaching qualification can bring.
Arseholes, tossers, turds.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Carkdale. Very apposite.
Mr. Slack.
Now, our conversation is terminated, Miss Travis. The 3 Ds, everyone! That's what it takes to be winners. Discipline, determination, and diligence. I get my wife to drum that into me every morning, and quite frankly, I'm going to like it. So, let's get a few things straight in our heads, whether we're in the team or simply cheering from the sidelines. Fact, we got a match today. Fact, we're going to win it, because if we don't win it, we are finished.
Screwed, buggered.
Fact, exactly. Mr. Humbert, how's our side shaping up?
Not bad. Not bad.
No drama teachers, it's a communal shower.
Mr. Slatt, if I could have a word.
No, you can't. Go away.
I've got a message for you.
Not interested.
It's just disgusting, isn't it? It's all out of control. All these men in shorts, parading their knees. I'm warning you, I think there's going to be an accident any minute now.
There's only Mr. Slack.
Oh, who's counting? Knees, knees, knees. Oh, what's wrong with the heating in this place?
Oh, my God. Mrs. Slat.
No smokers, it'll give us the edge over the pupils.
No smokers?
Mr. Slat!
Mr. Slat, you're paying no attention to me whatsoever. And I have several knee-related issues to raise with you.
What issues? Then stop talking to me where people could see.
But my knee complaint, I've got a serious knee complaint, and you just take no interest.
Well, what knee complaint? What's wrong with them?
Well, if you must know, Mr. Slat, and I just have to talk to someone, there are too many.
Too many?
Far too many.
No, listen.
Too many knees?
Certainly more than is strictly necessary.
Well, how does that work exactly? Can you do tricks?
She's not talking about her knees. She's talking about staff knees.
What, too many staff knees? We have twice as many knees as teachers.
Well, it certainly seems that way.
But that's the right number. 2 knees per teacher, that's all we have. We don't employ knees on an individual basis. We'd look ridiculous. I'm really having this conversation.
But do they have to be exposed? That's my point. There could be a horrid accident. Someone could just suddenly get all silly and distracted and suddenly take off in a public place. Oh, for heaven's sake, do we need all these radiators?
Mr. Slat, your mother...
I've heard quite enough of your theories concerning my mother.
And I haven't finished about knees.
Fine, great. Let's stick with knees then. Mr. Slat, I have to report additional knees in the building. Specifically, Mr. Slat, those very knees that parted on your first view of this world. Your mother is here. Your mother is in the building. Your mother is in this school, which you are also in. Your mother, to sum up, is here. Can I take this opportunity to remind you of one small but important detail? Breathing. That's in and out. It'll all come back to you.
She's here.
Downstairs. She's just arrived.
Shouldn't somebody warn her about all the knees bobbing about in case she gets a horrid fright?
But I made her promise not to come.
That may not be enough.
Quiet, Amanda.
Miss Abbott, nobody with a mother. No, forget that bad idea. She promised. I made her promise, and now she's here, and she's going to spoil everything.
Don't you think you should go down and talk to her?
She always did this, you know. She always followed me to school to make fun of me in front of my friends.
I think you should go down and say hello.
The deranged, diseased old harpy. How could she do this to me?
Just stay calm.
No, how could she do this, the bitch?
What's the matter?
I said a bad word about my mother.
Well, it's okay. I don't think she could hear you.
What? Oh, yes. Sorry about that. Miss Tripley, Miss Travis. And now, if you'll excuse me for one moment. Oh. Yes, Miss Travis?
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm in my naughty cupboard. Shouldn't be too long. It was only a minor offence. Thank you.
He's got a naughty cupboard too, thank heaven for that. I thought I was a bit abnormal.
Hello, girls.
Hello, Mr. McGill. Nice packet.
No, we are not doing this. Will you two please come out of your naughty cupboards? This one, Susie, just don't get involved. Just turn around, just Walk away. Amy, for God's sake, she's just your mother! We've all got mothers, you know, and it's okay. All right. They are genetically programmed to make us feel bad. That's just revenge for us leaving home. But do you think anyone else in this school spends their days cowering about what their mothers might think? So it's time to stand up for yourself. Look her in the eye and tell her you're a fully grown adult whether she damn well likes it or not.
You're so right.
Phone her right now.
That's not how I stop on the phone. This time I want your phone.
Yes.
Janet? Janet? Mr. Slatt? R.I.P. Eva Slatt, beloved mother to Eric. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
Mr. Nixon! Mr. Nixon, I think Mr. Slatt is on the verge of a really serious nervous breakdown and possibly a fatal heart attack.
Well, you haven't been here long, but you've certainly grasped the basics.
No, this is a worse breakdown than the normal one. Mother! If you see what I mean.
Ah.
Have you seen his mother anywhere? She's round the place somewhere.
Well, matter of fact, I was just looking for her.
Not a good sign. We've got to find her.
Well, how did he manage to lose her in the first place? I mean, finding her isn't exactly going to be easy in the circumstances.
Mother!
We've got to do something.
Yes, I quite see what you mean. The man's unbalanced. I've always said so.
Where is my mother? I demand to speak to my mother immediately.
We're just looking, okay?
Listen, I'll try the staff room.
Good idea.
Once and for all, I'm going to sort this out. No more Mr. Loser Pants. No more naughty cupboards.
But for the sake of the rest of us, do you think you could behave like a mature, reasonable person? Now, if that's too much to ask, just say.
Enough, thank you.
And here she is.
Okay, Mr. Reasonable. Let's see you fly.
Mr. Nixon, I should like to see my mother.
Certainly. Bit of an accident, obviously. Knocked over by somebody, perhaps, or maybe even just a slight draft. Nobody's fault. Well, needless to say, I realise it's a bit upsetting. But, no real harm done, though.
Mr. Nixon, I can't help noticing that this isn't my mother. It's a pile of cigarette ash with the stubs taken out.
Well, you seem very sure of that.
Well, yes.
Well, my goodness, you certainly know your mother. If only I could tell the difference. Now, I just thought, you know, in the circumstances with your mother being missing, that maybe this would do instead. No? Right then, well, never mind. Carry on.
Of course. The urn. He must have seen the urn.
The urn, yes.
Must have got the wrong end of the stick.
Yes.
About your mother.
My mother. It's funny, isn't it? My mother's big now, but one day...
Maybe you should have a little sit down now.
Mr. Humboldt!
Or maybe you could try another shot in your naughty cupboard. Would you like that?
I haven't lost my mind, Miss Travis. In fact, I have just gained it. I finally realised that I will never put my mother in this urn until I've proven I'm not a loser. Mr. Humboldt, the match starts now, and this is the trophy.
Right, yes.
Mr. Slatt.
Assemble the pupils team.
They're already out there. They're practicing.
Assemble the staff team.
Could I have a quick word with you about that, Mr. Slatt?
This isn't the time for words, Mr. Humboldt. This is a time for action. Right, you lot. The match has been brought forward. Prepare for football destruction.
Where's the rest of your team, then?
Oh, they'll be here. Don't you worry, Mr. Street Lamp. They'll be along any minute now.
They won't.
What?
You said no moustaches, no French teachers, no yes voters in the strike ballot, no smokers, no drama teachers.
Yes, what's your point?
Well, as such, you're the only one, so to speak.
The only one. Just me. Oh, Mr. McKill, thank God you're here. I was beginning to think I was completely alone.
No. Actually, I'm playing on the pupils team.
What?
Sorry.
Why?
Well, to make up the numbers.
But what about my numbers? What about me? You're supposed to be on my team.
Well, you said I wasn't allowed. I'm in a choir.
We've just been for a coffee. And a chat. About you.
God, why did you have to make two of those?
Isn't anybody on your team? Well, he's not very popular, you know. Well, actually, nobody's ever wanted to play with him.
Right, you lot. I suppose you all think I'm going to lose, don't you? I suppose you all think I don't stand a chance. Well, aren't you all wrong? Because there's just one little thing you've all forgotten.
What?
No one else is allowed to kick the football.
Why not?
Because, Sonny, because... it's my ball. And it's Slap now. It's Eric's Slap. Look at that. Look at it. Come on, look at it. Look at it. He's past one. He's better. He's gone. Look at that. He's going to score. Yes! 73 now. 73 now. Coming up again. He's coming up again. Yes! Straight in the corner. Yes! Yes!
Well, Janet, I suppose that's Eric and his mother together at last.
Forever.
Poor old Eric.
I blame the fertility drugs myself. He was never quite the same after the sextuplets. Frankly, he just couldn't cope with having 7 of us around the house.
Goodbye now, Dave.